Perfect. Awesome. Okay, ladies, this is a pop-up. This is a nutrition pop-up because Josie submitted a question yesterday, and she was talking about why is she still hungry after eating like what she considers to be a full, balanced meal. And I wanted to jump in here. Her full question was, why do I not feel full after my meals? A lot of times I feel hungry after 30 minutes of having lunch or dinner. I really feel like I'm having a balanced meal and a good sized portion. This happens even when I have seconds. She also mentions it's after my big meals throughout the day that I get the sweet cravings. And is there a reason for that? So I wanted to do this pop-up and walk you through what might be happening. And I'm going to tag a couple of you here right now that mentioned that this was speaking to you and that you were interested in it. So bear with me as I do that. And if you pop on with me while I'm live, awesome. Let me know. I love when you guys submit questions like this because I can speak directly to what you need in the moment and be very responsive, which, I mean, that's what I'm here for as your coach. So let me just finish tagging you girls in here because I don't want to forget. And I want to make sure that you grab this. And I'm going to tag Josie. Okay, so we're going to dive in. I'm going to talk you through all of this. Nicole, hey girl. All right, so if you have ever, some of you even said you could relate to what Josie's question was, what she was writing, and maybe even felt like you could have written it yourself. So if you're asking yourself, why am I still hungry after eating? Or if you finish a meal and you somehow feel like you could continue to eat more, or you have maybe a sweet craving after, even if you feel like you should be full. We've all been there, right? But feeling hungry and unsatisfied after what you feel like is a decent meal it's very common. It's more common than you might realize. And I don't think a lot of people talk about this. And there's a lot of diet culture wrapped up in that because we feel like we shouldn't have seconds or that we shouldn't eat more. And there's a lot around that. But it can be really confusing and it can be really frustrating as well, especially when you feel like you're eating a well-rounded meal. So I'm going to walk you through 7 scenarios. I know that might sound like a lot, but I want to be able to touch on a couple of different things and make sure that you feel like you're getting the resources and the answers that you need, since everybody's going to be a little bit different where they are. But the first thing I want you to think about is that you may need more balance. You may need more balance. If you are concentrating on your beginner eating skills and you are constantly eating and consistently eating 3 meals a day and you're prioritizing your pros, but you are still feeling hungry after that meal, then you might be ready to consider what I call the powerhouse trio of satiety, which is kind of just takes us into our intermediate eating skills, okay? And eating balanced meals is something that can help keep your tummy fuller for longer, your body energized, and your brain just really sharp and brilliant, okay? So at your next eating opportunity, I want you to check if your meal includes a serving of healthy fat, which would be something like avocado, extra virgin olive oil, or nuts or seeds, okay? Slow burning carbs, so things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, whole grain bread, something of that nature, and a lean protein, which we would categorize as fish or chicken, beans, tofu, all right? And then if you have that's my powerhouse trio. Let me make sure that this is up. I think, yeah, Nicole's still there. Okay. So if you have that powerhouse trio, the healthy fats, the slow burning carbs, and the lean protein, then you also still need to load the rest of your meal up with veggies, okay? You're still prioritizing your pros, but you're ensuring that you're including those complex carbs and healthy fats, which are going to help you feel more satisfied. And it's also going to make sure that you're getting the nutrients that your body needs to be overall healthy. So you might need more balance. The second one, we're going to tag team, is you may not be eating enough. And it is okay to eat more. I need you to give yourself that permission. And here's one thing of many that I know to be true. If you undereat at one meal, chances are you're going to end up eating more at the next meal. So you may not fill up. And the problem with under eating at like a meal earlier in the day, like lunch or breakfast or lunch, is that you're more likely to overeat or even binge eat later in the day because you're completely burned out, willpower's dead, you're starving from running on empty and being busy all day. So you're better off eating a more substantial breakfast and lunch full of healthy fats, slow burning carbs, those lean proteins, that powerhouse trio that's going to keep you energized while you're running around and being active, right? Being your best self during the day. You're going to need the most energy. A solid lunch means you can happily enjoy a lighter but still balanced dinner before laying down horizontally for, hopefully 7 to 9 hours at night. So think about your energy, where your energy during the day. We want to eat more during the most active parts of our day. If you're just getting up and eating like a small or maybe no breakfast or a cup of coffee and like grabbing some toast and out the door, that is not enough to fuel the most active part of your day, right? So just think about, you may not be eating enough. And the other thing that aligns with this as well is, as your fitness improves, so does your metabolic health, and your body becomes more efficient at using the energy from your food and your workouts. And so the amount that you were eating before may not be enough now. And that's really important to think about. This can be a challenging mindset phase because you actually need to eat more in order to continue to make progress in your fitness and in your weight loss. And we're often just brainwashed to believe that we need to cut calories, be in a calorie deficit, eat less to get the results that we want. But if at this stage in the game, you're at a point with your fitness, and Josie, who, you asked this question, I know your journey. I know how far you've come. I know what you do in your fitness and with your nutrition. And this is very true, probably very true for you. Your metabolic health is probably way stronger and more efficient than it has been in the past, 2-3 years. And so now with your body running more like this very well-oiled machine, it's very efficient, and you need to fuel that. Okay, so that's one thing. Still on this concept of maybe not eating enough, is you may not be eating enough veggies and fruits, the produce, okay? And I know you've heard this probably like a million times before, like eat your veggies, people, right? But it's shocking that like only 5% of women actually eat enough fruits and veggies. That's shocking. Vegetables help to bulk out your meals, which gives you plenty to fill your stomach. What happens is, as you eat and your stomach, the food fills your stomach starts to expand, which is one of the cues that helps you feel full. It cues off that hormone to help tell your brain that you're full. So a serving size of vegetables is 1 fist. Remember, our portions are based on our hands. So 1 fist is 1 serving. And if you ask pretty much like any dietitian or healthcare professional, they're going to recommend that you get at least 5 fist servings of vegetables a day. And so 5 servings, if you're thinking about that, that's at least 1 at each of your main meals, maybe some veggies for a snack, or maybe bulking up your veggies at your lunch or your dinner or something like that to double up. It can feel like a lot if you're not used to eating that much. So use the 1% method if you're going to start to increase your veggies and be more mindful about more veggies in your overall diet. And just start with incorporating them a little bit more at 1 meal, or like 1 snack, something like that, or just focus on 1 more serving, okay? And then when it comes to fruits, you want to aim more for like 1 or 2 servings a day, same serving size, still like a fist serving size. And bulking up your breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a couple of sneaky veggies and fruits is also going to add more nutrients, more fiber, more volume to your meal, which is ultimately going to help you feel more satisfied and satiated after the meal, okay? And if you need ideas for like how you can add more fruits and veggies into your meals, ask in the group, start sharing some ideas, things that you guys are already doing. You guys are so good with that. like just quickly, for breakfast, maybe you have whole grain toast with peanut butter and you add banana slices to it. Maybe you pop a handful of spinach or frozen zucchini into your smoothie. Or, you have scrambled eggs with, I love to put it on with, I love egg salad. So I like to put greens down and have my scrambled eggs and maybe some cherry tomatoes, avocado with it, right? So think of ways. Breakfast is usually the most challenging one to add veggies. So maybe challenge yourself and see how that goes. But let's talk through that. Okay, so those were our first few there. So thinking about making sure that you do have enough balance, think about that powerhouse trio. Make sure you're eating enough. If your body is metabolizing more efficiently, or if you're under eating at other meals and you're overeating at lunch and dinner, that's a sign right there that you're not eating enough. And then, are you eating enough fruits and veggies? Okay, so those were kind of like the first three I wanted to break down. And then I wanted to touch on hydration, of course. You may be thirsty. It's super easy to confuse being hungry with being thirsty because the sensations are the same, especially after eating. And so to avoid confusion, one of the things that I like to do, and we've talked about this before, is I like to sip on water with my meal. I try to have, some people will tell you drink 8 ounces, drink this, drink that. I just have a cup of water with me and I just try to sip on it. It helps me slow down at my meal and it also helps me eat more mindfully. And then keeping your water with you throughout the day. Hydration is such a huge component to so many things. And I will add that diet culture often tells us to just drink water if we feel hungry, which I think is extremely unhelpful and very disordered advice. If you are hungry, you eat food, but also try to keep your lovely body hydrated, right? There's a balance between these two. And if you're not sure that you're drinking enough water, then do the pee check, do a urine check. It's super easy. Check your pee, right? If it's a light yellow or clear and it has no smell, you are drinking enough water, okay? If it's very yellow or it has a strong smell, then you need to be drinking more water. It's that simple, right? We need to simplify this. We do not need to overcomplicate it and worry about how many ounces I drank today. Was it half my body weight? Did I finish a gallon of water? Like, let's simplify this, okay? So hydration is definitely a key. And now let's start to get into some emotional components that may be at play. If you feel deprived, this is a sign that you are not going to be as satisfied after a meal if you feel deprived. So when you feel emotionally deprived of food, you can eat and eat and eat and never really feel satisfied. And if at the back of your mind, way even you feel like you're not allowed to eat a certain food, like pasta or peanut butter straight from the jar or pizza or whatever, that food will always seem intriguing or interesting to you. That is why creating a list of like bad or forbidden foods or like eat this, not that kind of lists really backfires on you mentally because it's messing with the way that your brain is naturally wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So even when we are trying to be good, like that mindset can also create this sense of scarcity and restriction, leaving you then feeling unsatisfied no matter how much you eat, how healthy you eat, the portions you eat, okay? Because feeling guilty about eating really sucks. I've been there. And it completely strips the joy away from meal times and delicious foods and food experiences. And it's one of the reasons why my mission and motto around food for us is we should be able to eat to nourish and for joy, right? We want to be able to nourish our bodies and eat for joy. I used to be a pretty significant binge and emotional eater, but only because I was always trying to be good. My binge eating stemmed from the fact that I was really wrapped up in my image as a coach and being the head trainer at the gym. I had so many people who looked up to me and had certain expectations of health and what I did, was this example. I was always meticulously weighing my food, measuring things, tracking, posting about my macros and my perfect portions, and how it was always whole foods. And I mean, just it was really obsessive and really unhealthy. And it led to binge eating for me, and a lot of emotional eating issues. But if you feel like you can just eat and eat and eat something that could be described, as binge eating, then I would really encourage you to go and have a chat with your doctor about it, and maybe, dig deeper into that and see if there's something there that you maybe need to work on internally. Also kind of tied into this are hormones in the brain. So your gut has little receptors, if you will, that send messages up to your brain to tell it when you're full. Okay. Just like it takes a couple of rings to reach somebody on the telephone, the messages between your gut and your brain are not instantaneous. It takes a couple rings, right? It takes your stomach about like 15 minutes to signal your pancreas to release the hormones, which signal your brain that you're full. All right. All of these things take time, that nothing is just snap and it's done. Okay. And so if you're eating quickly, or if you're eating while rushing all around, then your hormones may not be signaling that you are full, or that signal is being interrupted. This is really important to understand, that mindful eating is just as important. How you eat is just as important as what you're eating. You could be eating, Josie, you said, it's what I feel like is a healthy, balanced meal with good portions, but you could still be eating too quickly or not be eating mindfully and still experiencing trouble with that signal, and trouble with interpreting the satiety cues and hunger cues in your body. Okay. Feeling full after eating a meal can be equal parts physical, such as your stomach stretching because it's full and you're like, whew, yeah, I definitely feel full, and mental. And the mental parts come from the satisfaction associated with eating a meal. Your taste buds and your sense of smell play a big role in helping you feel full after the meal. So if you've eaten too quickly, right, or if you are eating standing up or busy multitasking, there's a chance that you may not feel as full as if you had when you sit down and slowly focus on eating and enjoying each bite. So practicing your mindful eating skills, like sitting at a table and putting food on a plate, that is a mindful eating skill. Sit down, food on the plate, putting your fork down between bites, actually slowing down and chewing your food, like moving it around in your mouth, feeling the texture of the food, the flavors, things like that. Sipping on water throughout the meal, paying close attention to your feelings, your thoughts and sensations as you eat. All of this plays a big and a significant role in your overall well-being of like how you eat and your health around eating. Okay. So I want you to think about how are you eating, not just what you're eating and how much you're eating. Okay. And then the last thing that you mentioned was that you were craving something sweet after some of your meals, and you were wondering if that was significant, or let me see exactly. It said, after my big meals throughout the day, that's when you get the sweet cravings. Is there a reason for that? So getting cravings for sweet food after meals is a habit or a learned association. If you always have something sweet to eat after a meal, then your body begins to expect something sweet. That becomes a routine or a habit, right? And your body will nag you until it gets a sweet fix, because you've trained your body to think that a meal is not finished until you eat something sweet. That's your finisher. So sugar cravings can be especially strong after like lunch and dinner, because we typically eat dessert after a lunch or a dinner, but not so much who's eating dessert after breakfast, right? Your body isn't in the habit of having a sweet treat after breakfast. And so as the day carries on, the other reason that we crave something sweet later in the day, like after a lunch or a dinner, is that your energy, your motivation, your willpower, all of that often becomes lower, right? But then when you eat sugar, something sweet, your brain releases serotonin, which is that feel-good chemical to the brain. And it's just like, whoo, right? Sugary foods are also high, give you that spike and high in energy. They give you that boost in your energy and your mood, but it doesn't last, right? Those effects won't last. So how can we go about like controlling this or stopping those sugar and sweet cravings after those meals? First, let me say, if you want to eat something sweet, a dessert after your meals, it's totally fine, right? If it's not bothering you, if you feel fine having those desserts, do it. If it's something that you feel you're not in control of and you feel like it's unhealthy behavior for you, then we can look at doing a couple of things to retrain your brain to stop craving something sweet after those main meals. One of my favorite strategies to help reduce sugar and sweet cravings, especially in this particular scenario, is the 1 hour trick. And I've talked about this before, where I personally do not believe in depriving myself. Like, I cannot handle restriction and things like that. So we don't need to restrict or deprive. So using this 1 hour trick is going to help you overcome all sorts of cravings. Okay, here's what you can do. First, I want you to give yourself permission to have the dessert or the treat, the sweet, whatever it is. Then you simply just need to wait an hour to eat it. Yes, I'm going to have it. I'm going to, not now, but in an hour, right? And if you still feel like the treat or the dessert, whatever, after the hour, just have it. Most often, what will happen is you'll forget about the craving altogether. It will dissipate and you'll move on with whatever it is that you're doing for the rest of that time. I would not set a timer or an alarm clock because it's too much of a cue to keep that at the forefront of your mind. So if you're not going to set a timer, but if you haven't stopped thinking about the dessert after the hour is up, and you still feel like eating it, you still feel like you have room, you want to eat, then it's yours to enjoy. And the reason that this works is because it's delayed gratification until the craving can subside. Most cravings only last for a very short period of time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And if you're unable to wait it out, or if you are able to wait it out, the craving will go away. It'll dissipate. I want you to you can think of cravings kind of like this wave. They will come and go. You can't do much to stop a wave, but it definitely helps to acknowledge it. Yes, I notice that I'm having some cravings right now for some brownies after dinner. I'm going to watch it build and I'm going to wait for it to pass. If it doesn't pass, I'm going to allow myself to have that dessert. It's totally fine. But they almost always pass. And it can take a few weeks, but if you can be mindful about delaying gratification until the craving can subside, then you can totally break that habit, which can feel really fulfilling and give you a little bit more freedom with your meals and feel like you have more choice in that. So I hope that this was a good answer to your question. I wanted to try and bring you, like I said, like a couple of different scenarios or reasons why. And I want you now to be aware of what you feel like is going to be the best plan of action moving forward. And actually, I would encourage you, Josie, Lydia, Lauren, Sarah, Kim, Wendy, girls who commented on this post, I want you to watch this, check out the replay, and then let me know which tip was most helpful. What did you know, didn't know? What are you going to try to apply? Do you need to dig deeper? So you can ask clarifying questions back. But I want you to engage on this since you guys asked for it. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else along these lines that would be helpful. All right, girls, that is it. I'll see ya.